The growth of small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, in developing countries is essential due to their crucial role in competitiveness, innovation, economic prosperity, and business performance. SMEs are the catalyzer of the economy of developed and developing countries, as they have more flexible production opportunities compared to large enterprises. They adapt to the changes in demand in a short time and reach full competitive conditions quickly. Thus, they contribute to national income, employment, productivity, and entrepreneur training. Today, amongst other issues, we look at SMEs' role in economy and how skills acquisition can add to their productivity. We have in the studio to give perspective to this issue, the President, Nigerian Institute of Welding, Dr. Solomon Edebiri. Good morning, Doctor, and welcome to Daybreak.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Nice to be here.
You're welcome.
All right.
All right, well, let's start off by saying that basically the focus for us here will be about the issues of unemployment in the country and how SMEs and skill acquisition can help to bridge that gap. What's your take on the current status of Nigeria when it comes to unemployment rate?
Well, thank you very much. A nation that does not produce, a nation that believes in import of finished goods, a nation that believes that what they can export is just raw materials, cannot stem unemployment. The current state of our unemployment and employment strategy in Nigeria is a recipe for anarchy. And that's why we can't continue to blame the youth. No nation, and I'll repeat that, no nation survives without ensuring that people can be independent when it comes to working. You create a workforce for people, for establishments, institutions to utilize. You also create a personal workforce for people to apply and then produce goods for others. Today we talk about China, or we talk about the Asian tigers.
Okay, sorry, I would interject. Just hold your thoughts. We'll come back to that. It appears we have some technical issues. We'll take a short breather, fix that, and then immediately return while you continue. Please stay with us. All right, thank you for staying. Solomon Edebiri, the President, Nigerian Institute of Welding, is with us in the studio talking about the SMEs and the need for skill acquisition as a panacea to bridge the unemployment gap and, of course, boost the economy. So, yes, you were talking about China and,
Yeah, I was just trying to draw a little bit of comparison. Now, today, China is a very great country, and they export all over the world. But I can tell you that 95% of China industry is made up of SMEs. Now, no nation can thrive without solidifying the base of SME. And the only way an SME can be established is to develop artisans. That's where, you see, that is the loop. It's a chain effect. Now, if you develop artisans in various fields, then empower them to set up SMEs, maybe starting from SSB, small-scale business. Then before you move on to small and medium enterprise.
Well, in Nigeria, it seems like we have much bigger problems, when it, not just, developing artisans, but issue of, say, power, for instance, it has been an endemic problem for SMEs in the country. Virtually every sector you look, the first complaint you hear is the issue of, supply of power. So, do you consider that as a major problem?
It's a major challenge. And I think government has not really put in enough effort to address the power issue. Without power, SMEs cannot thrive. And moreover, the goods cannot be competitive in price. For someone to go start up his workshop, run a generator, buying diesel at 800, 900 naira per liter, and expecting to turn out the product and sell at a competitive price, our local products become more expensive than the imported products.
What's the implication of that on the sector in which you superintend?
People are certainly discouraged from setting up SMEs. People are certainly discouraged from going private. And people are certainly discouraged from going ahead to go with local production. And that's a major issue. Now, government has to put a willpower behind this. And it's like a value chain system.
Okay, there's something that you just said. You said government has to. And I know that the government has come out several times to say that, look, telling the youth that, look, don't wait for white-collar jobs. Go do something for yourself. So when they say that, the impression I get is that they are removing themselves from the small, from whatever it is that you should do. But from what you're saying is that even for that sector, even for the people to thrive in that sector, government still has to come in.
Oh, yeah, because now you make a policy or you create a factor for the people to follow. You're creating a trajectory, yes. But however, the implementation and the follow-up is essential. Our people are more or less robotic. You need to be able to drive them, especially in these developing nations. You need to be able to drive their intent, drive them towards a direction that will lead to the intent of the nation, of the government. But if you decide to just speak and think your word, like they say God spoke and the word was formed, and you think your word will create something, it's not going to create. Now we need to have a definite policy on SME creation, starting from artisan development, ensuring that there can be power. I mean, power need to be unbundled. The unbundled power is the power provision, generation, and distribution, so that they can come into small clusters, and people can access it. Now, if you come up to a system, from the whole of this Jabi, for instance, power is being provided by one person. It is that person's responsibility to ensure that you get power. And because if he doesn't give you power, you are not going to pay. And the person live on that. But to say everything must remain in the hands of the discos, who are strangulating Nigerians without providing service, they expect you to pay money, then this is not going to work. And our industry is going to continue on the decline. And it's going to affect our economy severely if government does not intervene in a more practical manner.
Mm. How does the environment, the business environment, impacts on the Institute of Welding, Nigerian Institute of Welding's own operation? How does it impact?
Our major business at the Nigerian Institute of Welding is to help build capacity in welding and related skills. And when we say welding and related skills, we're talking of welding itself, fabrication, fitting, NDT, and the quality control related skills. Now, it is our responsibility to ensure that international best practice is brought to bear in Nigeria. However, we still face the challenge of Nigerians being trained and not find where to either work or capacity to develop their own SSB or SME. This is a challenge. Now, where does this challenge come? These people who believe that they are superpowers in the country go in to sign major contracts and say, this contract, they have counterpart funding from overseas, either China or from America or whatever, believe that those funding partners have a right to bring in some workers into Nigeria and do the job. So the presidential executive order number 5, which has stated you cannot do that, and if you come to the oil and gas industry, the Nigerian Content Act also has stated something in that regard. But these people seem to be above the law, and our government must step in. And so when you ask people to go on skills, they can't find money to establish, there's no power to operate, and then they cannot be employed because some people feel that they can still import all these artisans from abroad. We must stop this. It's leading to capital flight, extensive capital flight. All the dollars go up because these people get paid in dollars. Their local allowances are paid in naira. So the dollars they get paid, they don't even spend it. They take them out. They are treated like one kind of expatriates. I mean, they're just technicians in their own country or
on a
work in the informal sector.
On a larger scale,
Yeah.
in Nigeria today, we are talking about 33% and over that of unemployed persons. And some of those people lack the skills. They lack whatever skill to do anything. What do you think can be done in that regard?
Exactly. If government can make a definite policy and put a strong will behind that policy to implement it, and we must take skill development. You see the way we took National Youth Service Corps. You see the way it is. When you leave school, you must go for 1 year compulsory assignment. They call it national assignment. But I would suggest to government that skill must be taken through secondary school, higher school. And then when you finish, rather than go to primary school and start teaching or whatever, yeah, you could. You have to be attached to some sectors whereby you can exhibit your skill. It is critical. And when you come out, I'll tell you something. Right now we're promoting something in the skill environment. What are we promoting? Go into the university, apply for a degree program, you do well and you come out with your degree, but when you are coming out, you also come out with a skill certification. So you have an opportunity while you're in the university to be running with your degree program and still apply for a skill that will naturally take you 6 months to develop and acquire.
But that's somehow we've seen that the NYSC, for instance, have built in that into the NYSC program. There is something called the SAID of the NYSC scheme during your orientation course. What's your take on that?
I think it's not still compulsory for everybody. I think it's not compulsory for everybody. I think you have a right to apply. That you want to do this, you want to do this, and you are grouped into that form. NYSC can make a deliberate policy that yes, when you finish, 50% of your service year will be applied to skill development. But it shouldn't just end there. Why they are doing that, we should also go ahead to find out who wants to go independent, because these people must train and come out with a requisite certification. The National Skill Qualification Framework right now has provided the opportunity for people to get certified while they train, and the certification will be ongoing. So when you get that certification, you come out, people must be given the opportunity to say, look, I want to start up on my own. I'll give you 2 critical examples. I'll use welding, and I'll come back to the catering and confectionery side. If you train in welding, you can't train somebody in welding for 4 weeks, no. Maybe you need 3 months. So NYSC to say, those who want to train in welding, we are going to attach you to welding sector. So you can't train them inside the school, inside the camp, because they bring people into the camp to train them. These are just some kind of quick win skills that you can acquire within 2, 3, 4 weeks, and you get out. You can't do that in construction skill, which is one basic challenge Nigeria is having. We still have to bring people from Togo, from wherever, to come and do our tithes, to come and do our screening, to come and do our POPs. because we lack the expertise in Nigeria.
All right, now you now also have, this N-Power scheme that, the government has introduced as well. It has some other aspects of it that has to do with skill acquisition, N-Tech, I think, other arms of the N-Power program. What's your assessment of that program and whether or not it is achieving the desired result?
Well, the aim is good, but I think what N-Power is doing is like an apprenticeship team, an attachment team. They engage you, you're given to a workshop, and so you start to learn from there, and on learning, you get paid. It's just like a partial employment process. And the point is, most 80% of these people who go there know that they're going to be earning 30,000 naira every month for the next 1 year. And so their focus is on that. That's not my idea. My idea is, let's have a deliberate policy on skills development, on skills acquisition. And let's move these people. Look at the situation. We look at an agro value chain. I want to grow birds. I'm going to use a critical example. I want to grow birds, chicken. And now you say you want to set up a poultry. So you're training people on how to set up a poultry. They train people the next thing who are going to buy. That's what is on your mind. But you haven't looked at the value chain. We need to train people on how to grow corn, grow maize. When we teach people how to grow maize, we need to train people how to grow, how to produce feed meal from the corn. And then we now need to train people on how to carry out poultry farming. Or first, probably how to train the chicks, the fingerless. No, that's for fish. The chicks for the chicken. And then from there, you now move to distribution. Look at the value chain. How can I be setting up poultry? Look at some government set up poultry, they set up production for chicken, and the factory is down. Okay. You can't produce chicken because why? The poultries are not working. The poultries are not working because there's no feed mill. The feed mills are not producing. The feed mills are not producing because there is no farm. There's not enough maize from the farm. So it's not enough for me to send somebody to a poultry and say, oh, you are working in the poultry farm because you're from agro sector. You'll be paid 30,000 every month. No, that poultry is failing already. So what do? So government need to look at the value chain and say, look, we want to focus on poultry production. How do we get it to work? Come to fish, the same thing.
Okay, but the people government targets, like for the Empower and all of that, if you look at it, they're already graduates.
Yes.
Now my concern is, how about the people who do not even have access to formal education? We have them in abundance. And then in Nigeria, there's this emphasis on paper qualification. So those people, we don't put emphasis on skills. So we just feel that there's this general belief that you have to go to school, you have to have certificate. Isn't there a need for a redirection of ideas, of policy, so that certain people can know that they do not have to go for formal education, but they can just acquire skills and,
That's the beauty of the National Skill Qualification Framework that MBT is regulating. Now I'll tell you, the informal sector are made up of this class of people. They didn't go to school, but their hands are good on skills, on doing things, production, mechanic, plumbing, welding, name it. Now, these people can certainly go on to produce a lot of materials, but they can't read it, book. But give them the shape, they can put it in the machine. They can work with their hands and produce it. Government has not focused on them. Recently, in collaboration with Standard Organization of Nigeria, we drew up a code of practice for the informal sector in welding, that's in the welding sector now. And now we can replicate this for all the skills that we think are worth the while. Now what happens? People who didn't go to school, ladies who didn't go to school, can certainly be taught on how to do baking. It's just going to say, take this module of flour, this butter, this oil, this, mix them together. This is what you do. Practical. That person finishes in 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks and can go get an oven and start baking. She didn't go to school. So we need to focus on all this set of people. And if we can do that, we take away over 25% of the current 30-something% unemployed citizens in Nigeria. A deliberate policy needs to be enacted in this country to focus on skills development. You can take the academic institutions and start growing them. I have a cousin who is an electrical engineer. He lives in the United States. He's a carpenter. He can fix his vehicle. He can fix his plumbing, and he can fix his garden. He has 4 additional skills to electrical. And the reason, the day he started enrolling, when he called a handsome man to come and fix his plumbing, inviting him to the house first, he has to pay $200. And when he finished fixing, he had to pay another $300 for labor. And the spare part was not more than $150. So I said, so what is in this that I cannot do? So he went ahead and started spending his weekends night learning. It took him like 2-3 years, but he got around the circle. Now something goes wrong, he fixes it. Something goes wrong, fixes it. Everyone cannot be like that. But even you and I that are working in this white-collar job can take on a skill after work, on weekend, and get something done. So if government can come up with a definite policy on skills development to encompass all sectors, all strata of people, deal with the uneducated people and deal with the educated people, Nigeria will move away from importation of skilled personnel and then move onto the dimension of exporting skills. The moment you start to export skills, your foreign exchange will rise.
All right, thank you so much, for sharing your perspective with us in such a short time. We appreciate you coming on Daybreak.